who do you hold accountable in partisan politics? You hold the party, not the. Not the.
But like, would it not make a difference if we are the people in those parties? Like, for me, voting is one, right? We must vote. Two is we personally need to be involved in this, like branch level or whatever that we need to do.
I hear
we
you.
need to change the face of what that is. Because for me, that's the biggest issue.
I hear you, but my point is that when do we get to? How will we then say government by the people for the people if we are partisan? I hear you. I get it. I'm not gonna go to these parties, all of them, because I don't believe in whatever that they're doing. But I'm gonna vote. I need to vote,
Of course.
but if we say that I have to, because that's what's happening now. If we're gonna mention political parties.
Yes, and we are back. Welcome to the Business Agenda podcast. This podcast is available audio on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcast. For those of you who like to see people and are more visually inclined, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you share within your circles. As always, we appreciate all your listens and all your spins. I am Cash, also known as Uncle Cash, also known as the Joburg Bachelor, joined as always by the good gentleman of the podcast. To my left, your right. I'm being, like in meetings, I've got Mr. Itumeleng, also known as Miser. On my right, the homie himself, Teaser, a.k.a. Vino_T.
We are back, baby.
We are back. Glad to be back. Missed podcasting, missed you, gentlemen. Saw you on and off during the rest period.
Yeah.
But I just missed this setting, yeah. So we are here, as always, Business Agenda Podcast, here to give you everything that's business related, sharing information, topics, and anything that we think is topical and relevant to our listeners and those who might be first and hopefully future listeners. We don't believe in last time.
Yes, sir.
We don't want last time listeners want to hook people in, and we always like to acknowledge and appreciate the people who make everything happen in the background. Good shout out to Tsepo, our videographer. And we've got a new addition this year to the team.
Yes, sir.
Those of you who know him, we watched the episode regarding investing in
The Alpha and Omega.
yes, the beginning and the end is now part of the team.
So I guess the alpha has arrived.
Yo, the alpha is not. Yeah, so shout out to Nico. Nico's now joining the team in official capacity. So look out for more.
Our recruitment policies are thorough. Eh?
Are you not worried? They always say the worst thing that has ever happened to women is giving men mics. Giving a podcast.
No, I'm not too worried. I'm very diplomatic in what I say, so I'll try and stay in my lane and not go overboard.
Is there an NDA signed somewhere, a residential marital NDA or a corporate NDA that you would like to fly within? I know, but jokes aside, welcome, Nico. As always, I'd like to start, especially after a long break, see how gentlemen are doing. How you guys been? How was your holiday season? Actually, before we get into how we're doing, I think as we're recording,
also give shout out to Balundalos, guys.
I was gonna come to that. So
I need to check, Pedro. I need to check.
Sponsorships are always welcome.
Pedro gave us space. So.
Yeah.
So the corporate.
Thank you for the space.
Yeah.
The check will be nice.
Yeah, a cherry on top would be nice as the way of a check. Yeah, so obviously we record at Balondolozi Investments. Thank you to them. Thank you specifically to Pedro. We always appreciate. Do not take the space for granted, But to those of you who are watching within corporates, those of you who have got extra to spend within your CSI departments, your ad could be here. So, do reach out, do the right thing. Do reach out to Miser. He handles all our sponsorships. I've just thrown that on him.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So you can see us on socials. Yes, and always, but actually before I check on the gentleman, when you probably view this episode, I think everyone will be aware of the untimely passing of AKA Keenan Forbes. Yeah, so we'd just like to say rest in peace to that man. Those of us who know our other podcasts, we are huge fans of hip-hop. No Hidden Agenda. We've been doing that for going on 5 years now. So it was a really tragic passing. His funeral's this weekend. So to him, the fans, the family.
I love that he's getting so much love, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, that's all you hear. The music.
The music.
Lasting out.
Exactly.
You know what
I think Hey, I don't want to make it heavy, but you know, like Tisa's saying, that's the good thing. He's getting love. His life is being celebrated. People are congratulating him. Pun intended. Yeah. So you know, like the funerals this weekend, he will be laid to rest. So yeah, just to everyone celebrate his life. You know, mourn how you mourn. But he was a generational pop talent. I saw that somewhere, and you have to appreciate him.
I was talking to one of my boys that I grew up with. Two kids, musically inclined, whatever. Like the journey that Sim was narrating is the kind of journey that me and two kids had in like high school, and
What kind of a name is Two Skids, bro?
same as Sim Dope. But anyway,
you have one skit, you add another skit, you've got two skits. They become two skits.
But Two Skids' name is Mohale, so we called him Two Skids. Yeah. Yes. But like, anyway, it's not. That's the moral of the story.
Did you guys also go to Australia in grade 6?
We went to excursions, but not overseas. But we did go to excursions.
Did you guys go to Stonehaven?
Shout out to the file, man.
Yeah, shout out to Miza. Shout out to the homie.
But yeah, man.
But gentlemen, just to pick it up, I think.
Untimely, that was untimely. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine now. But I think obviously it's untimely. But one thing I think I want to say in my conclusion is just it was really great to see everyone sharing their own perspective. One thing about these situations when you reflect on people's lives is just you get to see the full story, his journey through his music videos. And I really liked seeing how people were affected by his art. It's music, his life, performances, but it's art in the end of the day. Obviously, he had his businesses that he was involved with, which is what we cover as the Business Agenda podcast. But it was just great to see, you know. Speaking of friendships, my good friends, I think because we last recorded in November, we normally take a 2-month break because as much as we love what we do, by the time we get from Feb towards the end of the year, the burnout starts kicking in.
Yo, bruh.
The irony, though, is the first episode leading up to the first episode of the year, there's always that itch to get back in the studio, start recording, you know.
But
It took us longer than usual.
In Feb.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in Feb.
Yeah.
Particularly in South Africa.
Yeah.
Don't say so now.
I was going to say budget speech, but Sona as well.
Yeah, like you can't avoid the State of the Nation address, but I don't think we want to really start
I was
there.
going to say budget speech, but Sona as well. Because we know it's promises, but it's good timing by us.
Great timing. Obviously, in terms of our break, a lot has happened in the interim that we're going to uncover. Obviously, our first episode, we always like to bring you up to speed, catch up, unpack what's been happening, outlook for the year 2023. You know, our resident analyst for all things finances, Miza, you know, in terms of the economy, the MPC. You know, I think
I've got backup now. So
he's now got his day. He's now upped his game. He's got data.
I've got backup now. So.
A part of me would still like to give Miza just a short monologue on every episode. Let him rant and vent his feelings. But yeah, gents, how have you been anyway? Before we really get into like business discussions, how was your holiday?
The holidays were great for me. I was quite tired. I mean, I think we were speaking about it last year quite a bit. The fatigue was there.
Yeah.
Even from work, I think I took about 4 to 5 weeks off. So that was quite good. Relaxed. The most notable thing I did is I went to Lesotho.
Oh, nice.
Which was quite nice. We went deep rural. You know, it's like my mother's side of the family. And what was nice was to, like, I almost got to know, like, obviously her dad, my grandfather, I got to know, like, where his parents were from.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And, like, those people when I met, they remember everything. It's so crazy, like, you could hear so many people that like captured those stories like that, like because you know, like Lesotho, like if you're from a certain area, they'll name that area with your surname, like you know, like Hachalla, and then the surname is Challa. You know what I mean? And then everybody that's there, like you know, it was quite nice. I enjoyed that, and then the overall relaxing, man. You know, family time, taking it easy, losing weight. No, good things came from these holidays for me. So.
How did you achieve the opposite? Because most of us put on weight during December. Like I checked my weight first week of gym. I was not happy. I have no business being in that echelon of weight.
I was so silly, bro. I did my discovery, my vitality things in December.
No names. You're
As
not
a
advertising anyone.
and cholesterol was up. Body mass was up. So.
BMI. As a black person, I've learned not to put too much into the body mass index.
Yeah.
They need to come up with another form of measurement specifically for people of color. That thing is always off, bruh. That thing will tell you Tsepo's overweight, bruh. So we're not trying to listen to that. Zito, how was your holiday period?
For me, it was a lot of adjusting new things. Obviously about my house. It was a full year of getting married, so got to experience my wife's side of the family even more.
Okay.
So it was the first December off for me, actually, because I work in December. But this was my first full December off, like proper. I didn't proper holiday, but like I got to experience a bit more.
You were hosting Christmas lunch.
I hosted Christmas in my house,
Okay.
Put the tree up and on.
Tree was up. I went to Taung, like my wife is from Taung, so we went to Taung.
Nice.
All those things. So proper Christmas, first time as a husband, as a dad, all those things.
Hey, so
I came back. I had Jesus problems, body mass issues. I lost 10 kgs because I was on this like diet.
strict diet. Props to you, bro. That's nice. Yeah.
So I was on this diet, so I lost a bit of weight.
You lost a lot of weight, bro.
I lost a lot of weight.
Don't sell yourself short. 10 kgs is no joke.
Yeah, because at first it was what the first 5 kgs is water, right? Yeah. But to lose the actual 5 kgs
is what the struggle
I had
is.
to like do intermittent fasting and all those things, And then Nico calls me, he's like, dude, I came back with moho to come cook. I'm like, nigga, dog, I've got a goal here.
You no longer eat moho.
I didn't say that. But I'm like, Nico's timing was not right.
Yeah, he might not gonna go as far as saying he doesn't eat moho anymore. Great.
No, don't put words in my mouth.
Nico, your holiday period?
Yeah, quite chilled.
Traveled?
Very relaxed. Also with the family. Went down to the EC. It's Free States. New Year's in Gauteng.
Yeah, we spend the New Year's together.
We came into 2023 with vinyl _T.
Nice.
Yeah, so didn't do anything extraordinary this year. So more family focused. A lot of driving involved, obviously, going down to the Eastern
Lots of
Cape,
traveling.
coming back here and all of that.
Those pictures of Free State potholes were not nice.
They're insane, man.
Every time I saw pictures of potholes, I'm like, that's Free State. I think Free State has the most potholes in this
Free State
country.
can beat Val, hey?
More than
Y'all can beat my hometown.
more than the Eastern Cape.
Yo, Val.
Eastern Cape, there's no roads.
Okay.
Val have potholes.
Yeah.
And in the Free State, there are certain parts that have potholes. Val, there are potholes everywhere.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, it's hey.
Yeah, and you guys are still under administration, right?
Yeah. Eskom, we owe Eskom a lot of money. They even took furniture and
They attached property. Yeah, I think as far as infrastructure goes and management of SOEs and municipalities, I think that's one topic that's not going to go in terms of managing. But I think leading into topics, I don't know where you gentlemen would like to start.
Yeah, you went to Cape Town, right?
Oh yeah, I actually forgotten about that. I was actually going to briefly.
How are you, Cash? Tell us about you.
Busy keen on getting into the topic. Yeah, so hey, looking backwards, my New Year's Eve was very chilled. I was actually at home. I was just like, I wanted my December because I traveled for a wedding in Cape Town. Went down to a friend's wedding in Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
Some people get married in Stellenbosch.
In Stellenbosch, if you're vegetarian, they give you chicken.
It's quite beautiful. Yeah.
It's awesome, bro. It's beautiful. Cape Town, obviously, the feels different. More chilled vibes. Yeah, I'd like to officially apologize to all the good residents of Johannesburg. You guys, I thought you cannot drive. It's not that people in Joburg, in Gauteng can't drive. We're just impatient. Cape Townians do not know how to drive. Yeah, but besides that, Cape Town was great.
Let's not start beef, guys.
It was great. I had fun. So for me, I drove down to Cape Town, which most people open their eyes when you tell them you drove down to Cape Town. That's the only part of the country I'd never driven, so I always wanted to do that road trip. But I split it, obviously, slept halfway. The whole thing was take it nice and easy, see the country. A lot of small towns, a lot of open plains, but it was a great journey, just being by yourself, deep house playlist with your thoughts. So when I did come back, because that drive is really tiring, my December was just kicking with teaser here and there and taking it easy, So, which actually, the one thing I will say is it's funny that with the holiday season, we all want to take it easy, but you learn a lot about yourself. And the December just reminded me that I'm one person. I just struggle to be still. Like even doing nothing, even my doing nothing has to be productive. Okay, so something I need to unlearn. But otherwise, it was a great December. A lot did happen leading up to Jan. Which is where we are now. I know we will not indulge Miser and not start with the state of the nation. We'll find a new launch pad.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we're gonna do the match, right?
Definitely merch.
Yeah.
For those of you,
let's commit. By what? By I think people can start ordering, right?
Actually,
maybe by April or so, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking about it now with Cash that maybe I'll start buying whatever we need to buy that I said we'll buy. And then give it to Cash for branding, all of this stuff. Yeah. But I don't know about the T-shirts. I don't.
Look, if the infrastructure is all in place, but I think like Tisa said, let's work with the April timeline.
I think also like if we can order, we'll do what's necessary.
If you want merch, hit us up. We'll let you know. We're gonna start doing more actively on our social media page, especially Instagram. Let you know what merch will be available, when it will be available, and then look, as always, DM us, reach out to us on socials to place orders. Obviously, we'd appreciate the support. And we will make sure that we commit to a timeline, which is why we're saying it on video. There's evidence so that if we slack, you can be like, you guys can hold us to this, that, where's the merch? Yeah.
So I was gonna say, man, I think with the especially maybe just getting to this stuff, we can discuss sauna and budgets and stuff like that. But I wanted to say, I don't know about you, because at work, we were speaking about just gearing up for the year, and there's a sense of, it's almost like we're at the edge. It's almost like something is supposed to happen that's going to be like, damn it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us are very edgy at work, to be honest.
To be honest with you, it's one of the conversations, like we've been seeing a lot of banks coming through, economists and stuff. One of the things that I raised, maybe just to get into it a bit, is that this load shedding issue that we have right now, it's a huge political thing, and everybody's putting it in the backseat to say like it's there, but like you don't want to acknowledge it that this could be the tip. Like
this could be that one.
This could be that thing because like for us, the way we're seeing it, especially in the fixed income space, this is one thing that can push the market actually into a different direction. Yeah. But people are just backpacking it, man. Like just put it in the backseat to say, there's load shedding.
It's complex.
It's complex and it's so important, it's so sensitive. Then the next thing is that everybody's going into renewable energy. You know, some of us, we've got like, I've got like an inverter in my house now. You know, I'm sure all of us here have inverters in our homes. Now there's going to be excess power. All this money that the government is spending, because they're going to have to lay out their plan to say, are we going to help Eskom out to restructure the debt, to pay the diesel costs, whatever. Not to get too much into it, but like, what's going to happen to, like, I've got a lot of questions. That's why you're saying that it's that thing that's going to tip us over, because it's that thing that people want to. People are not taking it serious. We know it's there. We're trying to accept it, but it's a big thing.
Yeah, to be honest, bro, I think if I remember from the top of my mind, don't quote me at this, but I think like, would you say 50% is like people and 50% usage of Eskom is commercial stuff, right? Businesses, say. So I think the 50%, which is us, the people, that part is easier. We can get UPS, we can get all stuff, we can work around it. The problem is the other 50%. That's commercial. You know what I mean? Like when you run a manufacturing business,
they are making alternative plans.
Yeah, you don't just say like, I can get a solar. You know what I mean? Like
it's a substantial investment to get
it's a lot of money
to get a backup.
You also like a lot of these businesses use energy,
big time.
Like if you're making bottles, bruh, like
a blast furnace for bottling. What kind of a backup do you need? Can solar even carry like something like that?
So that's why that part is that part is the one that needs proper guidance to see, okay, where is government going? Where is Eskom going? Then the business owners can then make a plan that, okay, this is how we go. Because, You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it does need to move as a. Obviously, there are businesses that are going, independent. They like, for instance, property owners. The parking lots. They putting.
Can we
they're
mention
putting
one of the
solar.
wholesalers as well?
Yeah.
Like Marco.
Macro,
What Marco
yeah.
is doing right now with the parking lots.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And
Solar.
that's a 10-year, 20-year plan.
Can I play devil's advocate here, right?
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Not to be too technical on this renewable stuff, right? But all those things work well during the day, right? You have solar, you have this, right? But what happens during peak times? Unfortunately, peak happens to be when the sun is not at its strongest.
At its strongest.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we need to start having that kind of a conversation as well. And if you think about batteries and things like that, the amount of amps in a battery aren't necessarily enough to, like, you can't weld, for example. I'm just saying something basic that everyone understands. Like,
That's the.
You can't even
weld
use a
on
kettle.
battery.
You can't cook.
You can't
You can use a
cook.
kettle.
Yeah, so we haven't gone super commercial. We haven't spoken about furnaces and whatever. So we it's very difficult to. You can talk about renewables. It's very it's a good initiative and all of that. But we also need to equally mention the shortfalls that come with it.
My thing is,
that's fair.
You're absolutely right. I think I wanted to look at it overall, but that is, as much as going green and for the sake of the planet and all those things is ideal. Like Nico's saying, for like really production intensive industries like mining, even with farming. Like I saw a farmer who, there's a picture, I think it was in Business Day, where he lost like so many chickens just because he never back up. Apparently, he might be taking Eskom to court. But those kind of things, it's the commercial ITs are rightfully saying, where the biggest challenge is. Like off-grid solutions for manufacturing for those kind of industries are not easy to invest in. And Nico, you're right, because I've been reading a lot over the years on this kind of technology and batteries, even in cars, like even with electric cars, the technology still has a long way to go for your basics. Now let's talk about production. And then the trickle effect is always now in the economy. Like the start-stop, let's think of service, let's think of corporate. Yes, you can back up an office, but when there's no power, imagine what load shedding is doing to industrial manufacturing-based businesses. For their staff, people who are like blue-collar workers, what that does for the company. And already some of these industries were reeling or just holding on. We just came out of COVID, and then there's been a serious increase in load shedding. So I think in conclusion, for me, what really needs to happen, to go back to Teaser's point that we're on the edge, and I totally understand why financiers are on the edge, investment people, because there doesn't seem to be a cohesive plan between government and corporate captains of industry to say, okay, we all know what the situation is. We all know how dire it is, how it could be. But there needs to be a game plan going forward from everyone on the same page. What for me doesn't really help is when people point fingers.
The solution is there, guys. I think we need to. We don't like it, but we need to start getting involved in government. You know what I mean? The skill set that's in private sector needs to transfer into state.
But
that's what we need to do.
To your point, not only yes, we need to get involved in government, yes, but like guys, like a simple thing, man, we need to vote, guys. No matter how you feel about.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Like you need to vote.
No,
like,
I agree.
We can't live like this, and we can't say that this is the future we're gonna give to our kids.
But a vote alone is not gonna fix it.
I acknowledge it. I acknowledge it.
I think there we go. As a starting point, I think you're saying, look, I do like what you're saying, because one of the worst things that can happen is voter apathy. That whole thing of what's the point?
Yeah,
it's like a random, probably not the best example, but it's like people who litter and think it's just one piece of paper, but it means nothing. But if there's a collective of people doing that,
it means a lot.
It does add up. And so is the same thing with, it really does mean something when they say your vote counts. Even if you don't get the results you want, I think there needs to be a position where the leadership need to know where people feel. Even sometimes you'd be surprised the disconnect between those in power.
Now I must tell you, bro, like, I mean, you sit there, bro, like, if you're watching Sona and then you listen to this guy's debate after Sona, and you're like, the opposition, you're like, yeah, this can't be it. This can't be our choices.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think we have, like, the way governance is set up, the structure, don't you think that's where the problem lies? Because
It is.
You're
Big time.
basically saying, I don't know, 300 people sitting, members of parliament pushing policy, right? You have 300 people deciding for all of us. Actually, no, I'm saying all of us, but a small fraction of voters actually decide who goes and sits in parliament.
Yeah, it's partisan politics.
Yeah, so that whole governance structure for me is out of sync because all these people are pushing certain mandates from different angles. Then you end up nowhere.
Yes.
You get a lot of just butting of heads.
It's called partisan politics, and I think South Africa suffers because of it.
I think it's fine. I think we just need the opposition to become stronger, and we need because I think this is very similar to the UK. You know what I mean? Like
Tories
you have
and
the
liberals.
leading party leading with 40%. You know, and then your opposition takes the other 60%, and then you always have this coalition. It's probably the most fair way that one can think of. You know what I mean? I just think
same with America, like we're the one party.
we just need to improve the actual parties itself. Like that's why I'm saying like the solution is there. Like the reason the options are so bad is because
I think this whole partisan thing needs to stop.
but it doesn't matter, Maza, because what happens is if the people are not involved, like
Who do you hold accountable in partisan politics? You hold the party, not the but
like would it not make a difference if we are the people in those parties? Like for me, voting is one, right? We must vote. Two is we personally need to be involved in this, like branch level or whatever that we need to do. Because
I hear
we
you.
need to change the face of what that is. Because for me, that's the biggest issue.
I hear you, but my point is that when do we get to how will we then say government by the people for the people if we are partisan? I hear you. I get it. I'm not gonna go to these parties, all of them, because like I don't believe in whatever that they're doing. But I'm gonna vote. I need to vote.
Of course.
But if we say that I have to, because that's what's happening now. If we're gonna mention political parties like ANC, people are saying like, no, we need to change the party from the within. They've been saying that for the past 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah. The people
Nothing
that
has
care,
changed.
No, the people that care about ANC should change it.
They don't have power because they're overrun by power.
They must go get the power. Figure it out, bro. That's what I say. Like, I mean, we saw in December, bro. Like, you were so stressed because you thought Cyril is not gonna make it.
Let's not talk about my. And I don't even like. But that was a position-wise thing. But like,
Look, I would
the
lean.
sad
Yeah.
part with that is if we don't get involved, I swear, guys, like. You know, voting is good, but we gotta get involved. It's the only way.
we have to. This thing doesn't fly because, or else, you know what we were discussing now with Nico before we were recording. We were discussing SOEs. Like now it's Eskom. Tomorrow it's who?
Transnet.
It's Transnet is close as well.
all of them,
After
bruh.
Transnet is who? It's DBSA. It's this. Is that? That means that all state. That means our countries are. It's a crash.
That's why we are on the edge.
And
That's
who's
why we
gonna
can't let it fall.
who's gonna pay for it? Taxpayers. After taxpayers for it, we're getting punished by interest rates. Lisicha doesn't even care about. It's like, that's not his mandate. His mandate is to protect prices, right?
I can't even afford another hike at this point, bro.
At this point, I
I can't afford another hike. I'm hurtful. Eh?
You know, so you must remember if we continue, if people can realize that if we continue in this thing, letting an Eskom be an Eskom thing and go, and then you must remember that taxpayers are paying for this, and then the Reserve Bank has to manage the currency. They have to protect us from capital outflows. We were talking about the US inflation that came higher than expected levels. Now, what's going to happen to the hiking cycle for the US? It's going to go up. South Africa has to hike now because why? To protect the rand.
Yeah,
to protect capital outflows.
It's currently at 18.20.
So me as an individual, the reason I'm pissed is that I just bought a house right now, and then my premiums went up. Obviously, I'm in person. I've got debt.
Yeah.
My debt went up, and then now there are these bailouts that are coming out that I'm gonna be charged on anyway.
But that's how we gotta get involved, guys. To be honest,
We have to be involved.
Well, I wanted to ask you something, man. Out of interest, you know, the ANC in December when they were having their policy, they did something that was quite interesting, which I thought is interesting and we should maybe consider. They wanted to expand the mandate of the Reserve Bank, because obviously at the moment it's currency protection and
it's price stability.
price stability.
Yes, price stability.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, but it feels like the Reserve Bank, for me, they don't have growth in their mandate.
They've got the output gap.
Yeah, but
Output gap is sort of to look at growth in a way.
But we gotta be able to, because I think Lissacha's doing his job within what the mandate allows him to do.
Yeah.
If the mandate can get expanded, because like at this point, bro, like so what if the dollar gets to 20? Let's prioritize growth at some point. Like
we are not the Fed. The Fed is price stability and to keep unemployment low.
correct. You see, we need something like that. So for me, when ANC was saying, maybe we gotta amend the mandate of the Reserve Bank. You know, obviously most people think that they wanna go chow, but there can be good things that can come if the mandate of the Reserve Bank. Because at this point, I know price stability caters for consumers, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
Not only consumers, like Treasury relies on commodity price. Like now, the reason why the budget is going to be a bit positive, that commodity windfall price, like commodity prices sort of being volatile, played into Treasury's favor anyway. So for us to be able to export those commodities, we need our currencies to be competitive. That's where the reserves comes into play. The reason why we're going to have a bit of a surplus, not a surplus, but like the balance sheet is a bit stronger right now. So there's a positive story there. So the reason why we in the fixed income space were concerned is that majority of that money, we want to make sure that the government caps expenditure. Majority of the government's money goes into what? Wages. Number two, now it's going to go into Eskom.
Bailouts.
And bailouts. And that can't be the case.
Because I mean, SAA, Eskom, like
if commodity prices now we say they become stagnant, that means South African balance sheet, we're gonna rely more on foreign direct investments, loans, borrow more. We can't live like that, guys.
Can't.
I have a question for Miser. Like, to tie to what Tiza's saying about they want to give more scope to what the Reserve Bank can do. Do you feel, is there any real coordination in terms of the Reserve Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and all the bodies that are supposed to govern all things that are regarding the economy? The reason I'm asking, let me just add to that question, is it comes back to what we said earlier about we actually know what the challenges are, but is there a coordinated plan? Because I think it's well and good to give more mandate to the Reserve Bank, but do they work in tandem?
Since Nico started his graduate program, they can come in. But what we know is that the Reserve Bank is it needs to be autonomous. It's autonomous, right? There shouldn't be even like
interference.
Forget about the Reserve Bank. Let it do its own thing. Yes, the government has a significant share, whatever there, but forget about it. Let them do. The moment we start to have cohesive plans between the Reserve Bank and Treasury, whatever, it's going to defeat the purpose of what the Reserve Bank has to do. But I'm sure Nico can add on to that and add more substance onto that.
Yeah. Look, the existence of the Reserve Bank itself,
autonomy,
is literally what you're saying. And National Treasury, SARS, they all have to operate independently. One collects, one sets out the budget and how things are going to be spent. There's one protector in between. That's the Reserve Bank, right? That's the mandate. And I sometimes understand the way people who want the mandate to change are coming from. People are suffering, yet you are increasing rates. What's the logic there? That's the common answer, right? But the Reserve Bank is operating within certain parameters. The parameters are set out, obviously, in the Act and all of those things, but it's mainly to protect the value of our currency, right? So whatever they are doing, yes, they do consider what's happening in SA and all of that, but the main, the priority is to protect the value of the rand as much as possible, right? So, and obviously they use the mechanism, the inflation targeting, which, whatever. But I still think that I do sympathize with the guys at the Reserve Bank, considering the political backlash that comes with executing your job, only to find out that other forces are saying that no, you're not doing a good job. Whereas you're literally following. I think if you read things like the Reserve Bank Act and all of those things, there's like clear things that are in there that tell you exactly what you need to be doing. All the Reserve Bank is doing is that.
Yeah, I think why.
That's what amendments to me.
Yeah,
and I don't think the amendments are bad. I think it's just to how do we widen what they're doing. You know what I mean? And maybe to your question, Cash, not everything can be coordinated, but for me, it's a soft reliance. Like if you know that there's a department there that's trying to push for growth, like that's trying to employ people, sort out unemployment issues, like as much as you are doing what you are allowed to do within your mandate, there should be a way that you can accommodate that in your decision making process.
In South Africa, that's the National Treasury's job. As Nico explained, with the Reserve Bank, their job is to protect the rand. Because remember, if the rand is strong, Cash, National Treasury will get more money. Think about it.
More collections.
So when it comes to growth, employment, that's National Treasury. And we've got so many, there's so many departments, unnecessary departments, that we have that deal with that. So it's out of scope for the Reserve Bank. And our economy is not as big as the US's economy, whereby we will get the central bank to focus on employment numbers while keeping prices stable.
Correct, yeah.
Look, why I asked the question and what I would probably like to see, like all these entities can still maintain their autonomy and have their purpose. But whenever, let's say, the government decides that for the next 5 years, this is the plan for employment, I want to see a plan that's cohesive between all of these entities. They can still do what they need to do, because right now what it feels like, right? Like your good example is how you mentioned that people at Reserve Bank are doing what they're doing, but their outside forces saying they're doing a bad job. If you're on the same page, still maintaining your autonomy, knowing that you're leading up to protecting the rand, creating employment, everyone's doing what they're doing, but leading up to an overall plan or goal. It's like even a simple, in corporate, every SBU does what they do. They don't have to lose their value and change. Coordination doesn't mean you lose your autonomy, but I just think sometimes, to Maza's point with the partisan and the politics, that's where it gets murky and the people lose, because sometimes infighting and a lot of separation comes with people lose. It's like basically just losing focus of what are we all aiming for. We can have our differences in approaches. We can all critique, but don't lose sight of that.
To add to that, Keshne, it goes back to Gear and Asgisa. Those policies, Thabo Mbeki's policies. Basically, Gear and Asgisa, what they were saying was that let the economy grow so that the economy can be capacitated, so the economy can capacitate itself in a way.
Self-sustenance almost.
That's what Genas Gisa and Mbeki.
And then to maybe try and simplify, you're saying capitalism must exist.
Exactly. We don't have a choice.
So that, obviously our state, we're more socialist.
So socialism, yeah.
We think we are.
When you look at our grants and all of that, but we need capitalism to thrive. For all of these things to work, you need capitalism.
You know what? I don't know
about that.
No. But listen to his point. Like, I don't like America, whatever, but they got it right. Capitalism is the only way out. It is.
I think we need a blend. Well, I will not deep dive.
No, I'm not saying we should be full capitalism.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
we need a blend.
Yeah, thank you.
But for the economy to grow, you need
let free market forces. That I'll always agree with. In terms of interference, to the other side of my point, one thing I'll never agree. They always talk about the invisible hand of government. Anytime I hear that phrase, for me, it's like my ears perk up, because for me, it speaks to now legislative changes where there might be just more control of treasury of the Fed in any country. I'm not a fan of that. The one thing about, let's forget capitalism and the greed side and the negative side of that. Put that aside. If you let free market forces work, what I always believe in is getting to the actual state of a currency, of economy. You know exactly where you are, and then you can autocorrect. The problem with interference and outside forces is if you have any, whether it be bailouts, injections, or policy changes to manipulation of a currency or employment stats, all that, we've seen how that goes sideways in other countries.
You know, if we were more socialist, like Nico will also touch on this now. I'm going to refer back to Eskom.
Nico keeps getting shocked.
Yeah.
I am.
He's my
put on the spot here.
He's my analyst. He's my analyst. I told you our recruitment policy is
We've got someone who can back us up.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to go back to Eskom again, to the government again. We've got a sterilization fund that we had for the past, Nico, you'll come into that as well. Now we have to liquidate that sterilization fund to sort of fix Eskom. Do you see?
When you say we, you mean
the government. We have a sterilization fund that they put into their models. Now Treasury put into their model to sort of, as a relief, to say, we're going to assist Eskom now with debt restructuring, whatever. But you can imagine that sterilization fund, it's over, I'm not sure about the figures, but like over 50 billion or so. What it could have done to sort of empower the economy, the youth, whatever. That's why I'm saying, like, in a country like South Africa, you need capitalism to thrive and then government to... Like we need capitalism to be here, government to be here, and government focus on government policies protecting the
masses, basically.
The masses, whatever. But like now, if we're in a situation where we are drawing down on money, you must remember that even your is it what's that Singapore? They had those sterilization funds as well before they had those for them to build the economies to where they are. But they drew them at the right time and when they withdrew those money, they invested so much into infrastructure to build the economy of the country. We are taking our money, which is 50 billion or so odd rand, to fix something that should have been fixed.
And you're probably not going to get something out of it.
The reality is we do need Eskom fixed. So there's no two ways about it, right?
Unfortunately,
which is why I think, and I actually agree with you, but I think we must think about it, guys. Like, the only way we do it properly, or we can attempt to fix this, we gotta infiltrate government. Obviously, like Treasury, like, I mean, you know, like Nico, like
I don't think government can afford my salary.
Listen, there's great talent in government, right? In some areas. But those guys have tough jobs, like you're saying, you know, politically getting a beating, people don't understand. But like, guess what? That's what this is, bro. We all just gotta do it. Like, you know, I mean, when you look at like Baraking, you know, Tembisa, like the hospital, and the issues.
The 1 billion rand.
Yeah, like we literally have people that are figuring out on how to steal from government. And we are letting them do it because we don't want to get involved.
But Tiza, if I can jump in here, right? I hear what you're saying. Right? Sounds good.
There's no letting.
It sounds good. But I'll paint a scenario for you. You go in as an internal auditor at the hospital. First things first, you want to do things right, obviously. The threats that come with doing things right.
It is what
as
it is,
things
guys.
stand. No, some threats are directly against your life, your family,
that.
and all of that. How many of us in this room are willing to risk our lives to go and expose a municipality or something?
If I lose my life because I'm standing up for something good, let it be.
Here's my thing, Tisa. I'll keep it short. Tisa, what you are describing is an ideal.
Yeah.
And we all know the difference between ideals and realities. As an extension, what you are basically saying is...
The reality is we can't fix this?
No, not that. I'm talking about... It's not even... No, I don't want to be defeatist, but all I'm saying is this. If you look... It's simply like looking at how many people were willing to lose their lives during apartheid because they said enough is enough. So that same mentality approach is what's required to fix the country. But like what Nico's speaking to, I see it in recruitment. There are plenty of people who've made the transition from corporate into government. All I'll say about this is, do not, to add to Nico's point, never underestimate how some of this culture is deeply entrenched. And because it stems from human greed. You coming in, you're messing with my pockets. there are cartels that go in, whether it's procurement, supply, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to keep things the way they are. So now, are there enough people who are willing to say, look, I'm going to go in and risk my life?
What you're saying.
Yes.
I understand.
I'm just being factual.
You're explaining status quo. And we are all agreeing that status quo can't continue.
And my conclusion is like Nico was saying, you're right, Tisa, but are there enough people willing literally to lose their lives?
I agree, bro. Like, so what? If they're going to kill all of us, then let them kill all of us.
But you're willing to die, other people aren't.
We should. Like, that's
you're
what
right.
I'm saying. First, you vote, right? We all agree. Let's vote.
Starting point, yes.
Two, we get involved. But imagine if all of us are positive, if all of us are trying to make the right change, all of us, and I mean all of us, because we all agreeing that this can continue.
True.
Surely, brother, they can't kill all of us.
It's not about killing all of us, and you are right. But there's one thing I've always said.
No, I understand. It's because I think we
mindset.
It's because I think most of us think for, obviously we are individuals, and that matters to think as an individual. But I think most of us don't realize how the power of collective can actually make a change. True. Yes, we must not. I understand when you're thinking, what you guys are asking is individualizing it, and I understand that. But the most important part, the reason they got there is because they thought as a system. If we collectively believe, I swear to you, there's no power better than a collective.
Okay, quick devils, I'll get to your point. You are right. Look, there is nothing that can. Actually, there is. The masses numbers will always come through. But here's my thing. If you look at the history, whether it be the fight for civil rights, to end slavery, apartheid, at any stage, there were always people who knew how to infiltrate and break up those masses. Not to say they won't be successful, right? But it's a monumental thing, because here's my thing. I always say, never be naive to the challenge. Always know what you're up against. And for me, there are no limits to human greed, because what we're speaking of is human greed. The people who want to keep things the way they are.
I mean,
but
greed can happen within capitalism, Cash.
No, greed is every.
You can't have greed in government.
Greed is in every. Greed has permeated every part of life because it's human nature. Yeah. But so look, I have absolutely nothing wrong with what you're saying. But I think what we need to, it's basically like with the end of apartheid. The reason why it took longer, because there was a time there were numbers, and the numbers were growing of people opposing, of rioting, of stairways, people going into exile, right? With collectives, but it still took longer because of the monumental target and what you are fighting against. So it's the same thing, because what we want to fix, right? It's entrenched in the economy, in the government, in the country. Of course, it's happening, but I'm just saying. My point, just to conclude, I don't want to labor the point. My point is, in theory, in ideal, what you're suggesting is right, that we need more people, skill sets to leave corporate and go into government and start changing things. But they need to know exactly how deep this system is entrenched. And like Nico's point is very important. How many people are willing to go in for the sake of the country and be a Steve Biko, be a martyr?
I think there's a lot. And maybe we must do, like, the more episodes as we come. We gotta maybe bring people. Let's talk about this, unpack this stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's something that happened in Paris, and I just wanna just put it on record. Like, the community is hard full of 2 years of complaining. There's no clean water. They went and banned the house of their councillor or whatever, because they're just unhappy. People are revolting. It's happening. People will stand up.
True. Eventually.
Whoever that's gonna do whatever that they need to do in Paris is gonna respect those people.
True. Look,
I swear to you that the one thing that was crazy about the looting when it happened was how everybody realized, like, this unemployment thing can't keep going like this. This inequality gap can't keep growing like this, because look at that.
That's the last thing that anyone needs in terms of the status quo continuing. But for me, totally agree with you. But what I just obviously wanted to come out of this conversation, right, is just to be factual and know exactly how deep and the challenge is.
Take a stance, Chief.
No. The stance is we
are back there.
No. It's not even about not taking a stance. For me, like, my position is always simple, because I'm harping on about this.
I know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to do the right thing, and I'll let Nico come in. what's deflating to the cause, to what you're saying, right? A lot of people get deflated and fall away by the wayside and give up on efforts because they get involved, but they are naive or they're not really fully aware of how big the challenge is. You see now, even as a collective. So that's why I always make it a point to really, really harp on and double down about, look, know what you're getting into. It's a long fight, how long it's going to take, because it's not going to change overnight. And that collective needs to be in it for it's a project. It's literally a project, whether it be in corporate and sports, we've seen it, because if you're not in it for the long haul, what's going to happen is a lot of things starts off well. We've seen it even in political parties. I don't like where our party is going. I'm going to veer off and start COPE and EFF and all that. But that's why there's so many moving parts and it doesn't really achieve the objective, because you really do not know what you're going up against and how much you need to be invested for the sake of your economy, like Maza said rightfully, for the sake of future generations, which is the main thing. Because if you compare now and the people who put us in the position where we have freedom, those leaders and these leaders, huge disconnect. Even being willing to live your life.
Look,
Nico,
I hear you. Fair point.
Yeah, Nico, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, in conclusion, that in my view, right, when we need to start thinking solutions. Like we obviously, conversations that we are having are leading us to solutions. But at the end of the day, we need to talk. So we need to see the problem and see the solution, right? One thing, I don't think politicians are going to come and save us as South Africa. That's the first point I want to make. Right?
Anywhere in the world.
So
especially in
as
South
Teaser
Africa.
says, it's on us to then do the right thing.
The
right?
people.
And what exactly do we then do to make sure that people have jobs, Eskom is working, Transnet is working, whatever the issues that we have discussed here. The question is now, what solutions are we looking at to make sure these things work? And having bureaucrats in these positions is good, as you know. It's really good to have the smartest people working for government, because they are then working for the people. However, these constant political interferences, I think, is really the stumbling block to us then achieving all these great things. And for me, potentially what we could be looking at is the triple Ps, like the partnerships between private and public, right? We've seen a Telkom in the past, you know, the successes there and all of that. But if we are holding each other accountable, then we will do things. If government is chipping in 50% and I'm chipping in 50% of my money, I'll make sure that at least I'm getting my return as a capitalist. Government will make sure that people are employed in that same business.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to end up somewhere there. All we have to do is refine policy to make sure that policy protects the two of us. And we're both taking part in the risk, because the issue I have with the private sector is that they want the upside but not the downside.
Correct.
Yeah. You want to partner with Eskom, but you don't want to go knock on people's doors to make sure they are paying for
They're paying the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. It's actually the same way that the guys that are buying SAA did. Like, we're buying it without taking the debt that's currently on balance sheet. Like
good example of this one in the upside, but it's the partnership thing is actually quite true. And
good point. Yeah.
to come back to Nico's point, I think for me to conclude
You
this,
see why we hired him?
I think on this particular point,
I'm kidding.
holistically, I think what we do need to see more of is, like Tisa said, we need more of put the right pieces in the right holes, which is basically, there's so many, like I've always felt strongly about Tisa's point that the talent you see within the private sector could do great things if placed in the right place in SOE, even in government, but we just need the numbers. That's where I'll definitely hands down agree with you, Tisa, because look, status quos change if people move in masses. Do that. Get people en masse, even to be sacrificial and say, okay, look, if I'm going to have to take a pay cut, I know Maiza made the joke and said they can't afford my salary, but we do need people who say, look, for the greater good.
Surprised how well you get paid in government.
Especially if you make your mark. There are people like, the point was made, I don't know by who, but that there are people doing good within government. The job is just doubly hard because they're dealing with an entrenched culture. But one way to counter that is just get more people in. The people who are in government, they shouldn't be fighting this battle alone. People in private sector can bring so much in terms of skills, approaches, and also the private sector by themselves, when they do get involved in any way, shape, or form in government, Don't just be capitalistic. Don't just think bottom line profit. Think of the social good and the long term of South Africa, because don't be the same people who get on forums or in public and private just moan and complain about how things are going when you have a very cemented position to bring and enact real change as private sector, as citizens, as government. Yeah, so people, long story less long, in conclusion, people now need to stand up and be counted.
Come on, that's it, bro.
In numbers.
That's it. Yeah. So
Just don't be naive to the challenge ahead.
That's all.
I was
Definitely.
gonna say so. I mean, I think in the interest of time, it sounds like we are back. I like it.
The energy's there.
We're in full force.
We are back. I was gonna say, man, maybe just few things we can touch before we go. You guys paying attention to this chat GPT?
Artificial intelligence.
Yep, I'm big on tech. I am. For me, on my side, look, it's interesting. It's early days. The glitches for me are always the funny part when you see, obviously, ChatGPT came out, Microsoft then obviously launched their own. Look, without, it's funny, like...
So it's battle of the artificial intelligence right now.
I think it's in that space, yes. Look, there's many positives that are going to come out of it. On a lighter hearted note, it's always funny that we used to watch those movies, the old movies where those conspiracies about iRobot, the AI, the robots are going to take over. But what's good to see is like just the potential and the power of it. I know some people are scared in terms of the data access that this AI has, because obviously Google being
up until 2021.
Yeah, Google being the behemoth that it is as a tech company, they've got all the data, and it's like
even Facebook, Facebook
all of them. But look, I think there's always going to be the need for people always going to control these things. But I think for me, what's great, I'm big whenever tech has benefits that affect the less fortunate in society. Like we just think about profiteering. Like, look, it's for now, it's just how great this tech is. ChatGPT, what can it do? But I'm just reading a lot of articles and say, okay, look, outside of profits and all those good things, what's the end of or how can it affect you positively?
What I like about it is it's innovation, bro. Like, this thing can write your exam for you and all these things that can be seen as negative, but it's like, well, then the exams should be better than that. Like, we should get to the real stuff. We should get to something that can be solved by an app.
Exactly. And either,
you know what I mean? Like, it's for me, that's that. Like, as human beings, we gotta, it's almost like saying, robotics are coming and they're gonna take our jobs. Like, yeah, then it's good. We must go do jobs that robotics can't do.
Funny you mentioned that one stage that was a big fear, but it was unwarranted, because all that did when robotics came, it showed that there were a lot of people who were doing idle, unproductive jobs, which could be where they could be more useful elsewhere. If a machine can do a job and take it away from a human, fine. But then what needs to be done is like education. There's a lot of stuff that you learn that's really not useful.
Yeah.
Same thing with robotics. Put the right pieces in the right place. I'm always a fan of don't fear technology, embrace it, because in innovation, there's a lot of stuff we do in society, in work, culture, we just do it for the sake of doing it. And what this innovation is going to show us is just to think outside the box, be more productive. Do we really, like for me, my best example is the person by the side of the road with the red flag when there's like roadworks. Like that's all they're doing. Is that really the best use of someone's time within the construction space? A sign could do that. But that person, don't take away their job, reassign that person or that talent. So, because a lot of stuff we just do for the sake of doing, because this is how it's always been done. Like for me, I mean, we can all look back to when we were in school. We learned a lot of stuff, and you're like, am I just here to mature? Because this stuff, I'm never going to use this. Like an exam where I'm being told, name the body parts of a locust. Where am I ever going to use this information?
For me, if I look at ChatGPT, it's...
ChatGPT. He's a finance guy, so is GDP. At the top of the mind, ChatGPT.
I actually was thinking about that. Yeah. But like anyway, like I feel like it's the beginning. But like guys in the developed countries are already experiencing artificial intelligence at a higher level. They've got autonomous taxis right now. Like now, obviously with Google, whatever, assistants, whatever. So like taxis driving themselves, whatever.
Autonomous factories.
Yeah. So it's for me, it's a beginning. And it could benefit.
Do you like on a day to day? Do you still Google or do you use ChatGPT?
No, I still Google.
It's not that yet. It's not there yet for you.
Yeah. I'm in a third world country, so.
Yeah, I think my view on ChatGPT is obviously I'm all about efficiency, right? Doing things as quickly as possible, solving problems, etc. So I'm an advocate for ChatGPT, but there are risks that come with it, right? So I saw. Let me start with a positive thing before I get to the risk. Like I saw. I don't know if you guys saw the voice the voice component of ChatGPT. The equivalent, sorry.
Voices,
the thing that can obviously, like I'm talking, there's a video on YouTube where Elon Musk is continuing a conversation like this. However, the person is pressing like Obama, changing to another celeb, to another. Then while Elon Musk is chatting like this, the voices are changing to that specific person's voice, right? So it's the good thing about that is an example of David Guetta's the Eminem input, right? That thing blew people's minds away. He went to an AI app, the first one, to say the tip, like he said.
David Guetta, the DJ.
The
French
DJ.
DJ.
The DJ.
What would Eminem rap?
What would Eminem rap about? And then he specifically electro or whatever, right? Then he took a few keywords, copied, pasted them into the voice one, and used Eminem saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Copied that into his set playing, and people went crazy. Right?
So he basically wrote bars for Eminem.
Yes, and then that sounds like Eminem. Literally, it's what Eminem would say, maybe based on what's on record. On
It's
the
all
internet.
data based. Yeah.
All database.
Obviously, very good. If you're a local person trying to do stuff like that, you could monetize and all of that. But the risk that comes with it is that we can add the face AI. Cash could not be here today,
But
on this pod. But we could have Cash here. What would Cash say every time it's Cash's turn to speak? We could be pressing play somewhere, and Cash would not be here. But
because Cash is doing something else better.
100.
Using his
he's probably making money somewhere else.
using his time better. But you're right about the risk. Look, I don't think always. I always say don't. We shouldn't fear it.
The risk. Sorry, I'm sorry. The risk. What are you saying? Personification.
Yeah, there are risks involved.
What is real and what is not real?
Yeah. We've seen with politicians, man. I think there was one doing the rounds about Donald Trump or someone saying stuff like.
Oh, I get it.
But they never said they
It
were
could
never
create
there.
political blunders.
They never did the press conference.
So
and all of that.
personification is a risk.
So that for me is the big risk, and I'm not talking about taking people's job. I'm just saying, you could end up in jail for saying stuff you never actually said.
Yeah.
It's like
control. It's very similar.
It's like anything.
It's very similar to crypto. Like crypto as a concept is amazing. Up until you're like, okay, but what if the bad people are using crypto then to do? You know what I mean? Like,
I was about to say that. Yeah.
So there's always there always has to be there. It's unfortunate whenever something comes. Like how do we control it from a government perspective, from a regulation perspective? You know what I mean? Because whenever like something great comes, it obviously comes out of the market, say for the benefit of everybody, efficiency. But then how do we control it so that it doesn't get used by the wrong people or in the wrong hands? Sounds like what FBI and CIA guys say,
You led up to what I was going to say. Look, it's great, but for me, in conclusion, like we spoke earlier when we talk about talent going into SOEs, while there are people coming up with innovation for good, even at the inception of a lot of things, there are people looking to manipulate, looking for gaps, looking to exploit that. So as concepts, the concepts for positive, that needs to be maintained, governed, and controlled. Same thing like crypto is a good example because there's many great far-reaching positive implications, but there's always going to be the members of society who want to do things for the wrong reasons. So I'm looking forward to, like Nico said, innovation, efficiency. I literally think the sky's the limit for that kind of AI and what it can do. And I'm keen to see how these tech companies like link it to other forms of tech, be it a lot of the stuff's already linked with phones, smart TVs, cars. a lot of autonomous things.
It's a Microsoft. I think Microsoft, they're implementing it into almost everything.
Yeah, they started with their Bing search. Then they're gonna, I think it's called Benny or something. I forgot the name. Stand corrected, but they are trying to integrate it into every part. But I think rightfully they'll cautiously roll it out in phases and not push it, because apparently I was having a chat with Simba, we previous on the podcast, saying apparently Google have had this capability and tech and capacity maybe a decade before, but they trialed it, they saw how far it could go, so they kind of drew back because a bit of apprehension in terms of how far this could go. So I think now it's all about timing. Timing is right. So yeah, the future's bright in terms of this. I'm looking forward to what it can do.
And then I suppose we should probably maybe bring Simba back, right? We gotta discuss
Great story, yeah.
the oil money that's going to Manchester United.
Sports funding part 2.
We built it from the ground up.
Yeah.
With the oil money.
We didn't buy it. No, we didn't buy it.
People have got
We built it from the ground up.
every time I hear myself say that, I was like, people have got selective memories.
That was our strong episode from last year, right?
Yeah.
I think the general feedback is most people like that one, hey?
Yeah, feedback, and then definitely that was sports finance, and then in terms of numbers, hands down, that one belongs to Alpha and Omega. A part of me was wonders, did Mr. Nico enlist the services of a streaming farm? But I think no. Jokes aside, I think I saw him put in a lot of work promoting the episodes.
He likes watching himself.
That's why he keeps on reminding us about the numbers, because he's always watching himself.
But jokes aside.
By the way, guys, there's an episode out there that you guys need to look at if you want to invest in property in the township.
Hey, Nico, you don't want us to post this on Facebook, eh?
No,
That's why there are 500 views. Everyone in Fixburg. That's how small it is.
Yeah, but speaking of that episode, we are planning more content. Look out for more episodes. We are going to shoot a follow-up to that episode in terms of giving you more visually inclined.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah, definitely. That
committing?
More than committed. That's why I'm putting it now. Me and Sepo are gonna put in work. Nico, we're gonna coordinate. Yeah. It's good to see. It's one thing to have people in studio share. It was a great story, like jokes aside, which is why it resonated, got good numbers. But we want people to see the actual product, the actual sweat, blood, and tears, what came out of it, just to motivate and inspire people who might be considering investing in township property. I think it's a big thing.
And maybe we should. And maybe we should look at doing the other episode then, Tepo, right? For our building, because we didn't build, like Nico did. We went and just bought
just to
someone build,
great. Compare the two,
just to cover that stuff. Yeah.
Maybe one thing that I'm since I had my SGM today, like new buying in a new development as well. First time buyer in a new development.
Correct,
like what to look out for. Apparently there are a lot of concerns in a new development, or maybe buying into a development. Like maybe I would also want to share my story on that.
It would be nice to actually have something combined where as a viewer or a listener, you probably get a full view. Do I buy my own property?
Do I build?
Do you build or
do you buy and renovate, upgrade?
Where,
that would be
at least in one sitting you can probably hear
three parts,
the positives, negatives of the three.
And then maybe
great
just to
idea.
give people more options, like Nico is saying, who knows, we can change someone's life. Someone might decide to.
Agreed. Because I also think it was important for us to record ourselves, because I think maybe over the next couple episodes we're probably gonna do some guests, right? But we'll try and figure out and find time to still do what we're planning to do. Overall, I'm glad we're back.
Definitely.
It looks like today we're on fire, hey?
Energy is right.
We have a lot to say clearly. I don't know if you guys have any last words or.
I'm good, gentlemen. Once again, thank you to Tsepo Videography. Welcome again to Nico. Looking forward to a new year. So good on my end before we wrap up.
Yeah, and for me, bro, like we must just remain positive, gents. Like, no one is gonna fix it. Like what Nico said, we can't rely on the politicians. You know what I mean? We gotta figure out and get to the solutions. What should we do? And I think we'll try and also use the podcast to do that. Like, what can we do as people? And I think it's actually very important that we keep that at the top of our mind, just because of how how edgy the country is.
Yeah.
Our moral compass is what's gonna carry us through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my side, welcome to Mfanaka again. Well done. But again, like Tiza, also to touch on what you just said, like I think we need to be more involved as citizens of this country. If we're gonna be patriotic to this country, like we need to be actively involved. I think the narrative of partisanism, we need to remove that.
Apply ourselves. Let's find.
Let's apply
else.
ourselves. I mean, like we can't live like this. Not. I don't want to speak about races and whatever. But like, let's apply ourselves, and let's vote, guys. Let's vote. This country belongs to all of us. I don't want to give my daughter a future that's in with blackouts and stuff. Nah.
Issue.
You know.
Yeah.
Here's an exclusive.
The moment you say that, I knew Tizo was not going to let that slide. Nico, anything?
That's not the point.
Yeah. Anything on your side, Nico, before we close?
Yeah, no, I think we have sort of started something good here. We started talking about the issues, right?
Yeah.
The first point is talking, but it's all about what we do going forward. And I encourage everyone, young people, old people, to continue the conversations and continue coming up with solutions, and let's keep these politicians in check. Let's keep them accountable, because we put them there. So let's keep them in check. And but overall, I'm looking forward to 2023. It's gonna be a good year for us. And
Issue.
let's keep working.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. This has been episode 14 of the Business Agenda podcast. The overall theme and conclusion is, to everyone out there, it's time to stand up, be counted. More talking, but talking that leads to solutions. It can be done. It has been done before. Make your mark for future generations, like Miles was rightfully saying. This podcast is available on all DSPs, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your audio podcasts. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share the link amongst your communities. We would like to, as always, and will continue to endeavor to share information, get conversations going, get guests on, and any ideas you have, please send us a message. Look out for the merch, as we mentioned. And we are looking forward to 2023. Lots of good things on the way, all in the sake of getting people enlightened, advised. We never take it for granted how, like Mr. Mojaki said, it might seem like small information, but it can change people's lives. Business Agenda Podcast, signing out. Peace.
Cheers.